Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to Backer Pause, where creators bravely put up their projects to be judged by others to see if their title, their description, their image, and their video can get through the experience of Backer Pause. What is Backer Pause? Backer Pause is when you suddenly find a reason that you might not pause or you've lost interest in a project. So join us as these campaigns are put through the ringer of the Backer Pause jury and judges. Tune in and tell us if you experience Backer Pause in the comments. Brought to you by comicbookadvocates.com, where the love of comics come first, and hosted by Mr. Anderson, the comics writer who creates stories that travel the realms of fetish monsters and more, and the more is ever expanding. Returning champ, Ed is back, and he's going to make us some more. Go ahead and tell him about your project and give him the pitch and introduce yourself.
All right. So I'm Ed Davis. I'm the writer of Immortal Era. We are currently selling issue 6 on Kickstarter. And the basic premise of the series is it's a post-apocalyptic world set 200 years in the future in a world where no one can die. But with their immortality, they don't gain special abilities or powers. The world continues to age. They still get sick. If someone loses a limb, nothing's going to magically regenerate in its place. It's not a world full of superheroes and ageless vampires. Instead, it's a world where a decapitated head who still functions in society. So it centers on a group of underground dwellers who are on a quest to find relics from the past so they can restore the natural life cycle and save humanity by killing them.
Now, can you just tell me what was the influence behind the story?
The influence behind the story, it started with actually English Lit. I was an English Lit major in college, and I was in Gulliver's Travels, and we were reading a small excerpt, not the main ones that you know, where he goes to an island, he becomes giant, he goes to one, he becomes tiny. He finds an island when he's all of his exploring, and on this island, everybody's immortal, but he finds out really quickly that immortality brings misery. The young 20-something, 30-something, even up to 50 and 60-something, they're fine. But the ones that were older, hundreds of years old, they could barely lift their hands. They were completely erect mentally, and he realized that immortality is a terrible state of being. So that's where kind of the idea hatched. And then also reading the On a Pale Horse series, it kind of came from that too. So it kind of took ideas and merged with mythology as well. So I wanted to kind of have a little bit of both, where it's, you know, you have your science fiction premise embedded with a whole bunch of different types of mythology to kind of create a strange universe that hopefully is a fun time for people. And this issue will close out the first story arc. So this one will be the first one that'll be moving to be collected into a trade once everything's done for issue 6.
And for those who don't know, you have been on this show for many of your amazing projects. And I always love this. For those who don't know, this is one of my favorite. Full disclosure, I really enjoy this story. I've loved watching the experience. I've loved reading it. I love the talking head dude. He's one of my favorites. And you are also up for some awards this year, which will be announced on the 24th at 9 p.m. next Friday. I'm really excited to talk more about this, but we also have to get in the Backer Pause. Real quick note, and I'm just going to kick you off the screen and just take over for real quick. A few people have asked why Backer Pause is becoming bi-weekly. This is due to some problems with my own back, and I'm trying to limit the amount of time I sit in a chair because that's been my worst feeling. I'm not going to take up much more time than that, but it also gives, when we have an esteemed judge like Ed, it gives them 2-week rotation. we're going to be trying this as I'm trying to heal from a hip injury and a lower back injury. We might go back to a weekly show. I don't know yet, but Ed's going to cover things for us for 2 weeks. And of course, I've been chopping these up into smaller segments and putting them on TikTok, which has been, I'm hearing good things, hundreds of views. So we're evolving the program. It has literally been sitting in the chair that's become a problem for me. At times, today's a good day. I'm actually feeling with a little bit of Advil. I'm not feeling that bad at all today. But I can't always judge the days. Like sometimes this time of the day, I'm exhausted. I took a nap deliberately because I could have the energy for Ed, because I love Ed being on the show and I love the story. So that's just to cover that before anyone else says anything about back pause. A few people had asked me. It's nothing to do with anything other than a health issue with my back. But let's get on with the show. You were here when we were developing it. I finally perfected the new season of stuff. But before we do that, of course, we've got to give love to your video because you're our judge tonight. So without taking a break, just and before we play your video, talk to us about your video and give us the inspiration behind making this video.
When I was making this one, I wanted to kind of give it to a point where I could welcome in the new readers, but also kind of recap what's already happened. So it gives it a way of introducing people to the story if they're coming at it to the first time, but also kind of giving your previously on Immortal Era feeling where you can know that, okay, those who have been reading it, here's what's happening and here's where we're going with issue 6. Because now that we're 6 issues in, I realize I will be getting, there's always room for new readers, but you have to kind of respect the new readers and the ones that have been there from the start.
And before we watch your video, I never asked this question. I'm going to start trying to ask it because I always get asked this later. What do you use to make the video we're about to watch? Did you do it yourself? Did you use a certain program? Give us the
I actually don't create the video. I have the colorist on the book does all the videos for me. So she creates the video and I create the audio, and for that I just use SoundForge, the Sony program. So I'll record it into actually one of these wave recorders right here. I record it into that, drop it into SoundForge and remove any breathing moments or something like that, and then send her the completed file.
All right. Well, let's take a look at it and see how it turned out. And then I'll give you my honest. I haven't watched it, actually. I waited for you to be on the show. So I'll give you the honest feedback from me as soon as we come out of it. But there's no pause. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Immortal Era, a post-apocalyptic world set 200 years in the future. A world that has seen the natural life cycle disappear. This seeming blessing quickly turns to hell on Earth as the natural resources disappear and the population spirals out of control, suffering from unnatural old age and unending sickness. A small group of outcasts from the violent underground have made it their life's mission to find a way to restore the natural life cycle and bring death back into the world. When we last left our heroes, they were divided. Father remained behind to defend Hope Village from the greatest threat the people have ever faced. Meanwhile, Ari, Miguel, and Kimberly have left the village and arrived on the surface in an attempt to retrieve the first piece of death. On the surface, they encounter a threat from the past, a foe who wants nothing more than to destroy Ari and her siblings. How will our heroes survive this perilous situation? Join us as we close out the first story arc of Immortal Era in an issue that will change the lives of all of our heroes. With rewards to suit new and returning backers, there's guaranteed to be a tier to meet your needs. Welcome back and thank you for your incredible support.
All right. Actually, I dug it. I always kind of dig your video because you have the right temperament, the right pace. Like, I don't think I've ever mentioned anything other than the past to make sure that you had involved the older the older base is a great thing, but always invite new people. And
yeah,
this definitely does that. So, job well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I think in the first video you looked at of mine, and that was when I was on one of your Sunday shows, and you had really never heard of the book or me, just said, hey, if you want to come on, come on. And it was, welcome back. And it wasn't really looking at new people coming in. I was only addressing the older ones. And I also took time because I watched one of the Backer Pause episodes where someone said, oh, well, why would immortality be such a bad thing? So I made sure I addressed that in this video too. It's like, all right, in this world, it's not a great thing. It's not like, okay, here you are, you're never going to age, you're never going to get sick. So, talking about the fact that the resources have dwindled and the world is just kind of falling apart. So that way we don't think, what's the deal? I'd way rather have immortality.
Yeah, and you know what? You've adjusted, you've done well. I really appreciate that. You have learned from the experience, because I know you know this. There are a lot of people who just don't learn no matter how much you try to help them.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome that you did learn from it. So one of the things that we actually, speaking of learning things, because last time you were here, I don't know if you've watched a recent show, we've kind of changed the format just a little bit. So what we're doing now is we're actually going off of a list. So I'm going to read you just the titles, and this has been proving an awesome point for the last couple weeks. So what I'll do is I'll read you the title, just the title. You're not going to get the picture. You're not going to get anything else but just the title. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick which title is the best. And then just from the title, we'll bring up the project, and then we'll watch the video for it, and we'll do what we do best. We'll give the best opinions we can based on what we see. So if you're ready, we can get right into it right now. And you don't get to see anything from this point unless we call up the actual campaign. So it kind of has like a new kind of like, ooh, which one will he pick? So here we go. Yeah. And I'm gonna read them in opposite order. So yours is there. So we're gonna just go in a weird order. So it doesn't, next time I'll go in a reverse order, so you won't necessarily be able to put them together. Some of them are going to be giveaways, like Shark of War, issue 1 through 5, the complete epic. Now remember, you're trying to look for the basic title that really draws you in. And you're going to know some of these people, I'm sure. Moby Dick, Back from the Deep, the complete series. Winter Ember, an action-adventure stealth comic book series. Ooh. Salvation 0 through 1, an action horror comic. All right, this is Alpha Dogs, but hold on, I just got to call it out real quick. For some reason, when I did the Twitter thing, it only shows the video. Alpha Dogs issue 2, that's the actual title of it.
Okay.
Alpha Dogs issue 2. Charms. That's all I got for you on that one. Forbidden Museum 2, The Lost Temple of the Gill God. Blood and Fire, The Samurai Tale. Okay. The Elements, Burden of Truth. Mythica, issue 8, a dark fantasy comic for mature readers. And Echoes of Triumph, 0 through 2. So what really drew you in?
Sorry, I couldn't understand, but I may have a few recommendations.
There goes Echo. Echo, quiet.
Yeah, that's tricky because I backed a lot of the projects you just named. So,
well, what did you think was the best title? Then we'll go with that.
I love Mythica. I like that title. It drew me in when I first got into reading it. So I like that title. It kind of has a name that makes you want to know more.
All right, so we're gonna play the Mythica video. You know the deal. Raise your hand when you experience what we call around here backer pause, and away we go.
Welcome, Mythica Maniacs. This is the official launch of Mythica Issue 8. All right, Mythica Maniacs, I've got a lot to show you, but first I want to share some exciting news about the cover. So for this issue of Mythica, I am super grateful and honored to have award-winning colorist Alex Sinclair on the cover. Alex has worked on hundreds of DC books, including Batman and Justice League with Jim Lee. When Alex agreed to collaborate, I immediately got to work on making a cover worthy of Alex's coloring skills. And I'm pretty proud of how it came out. I gotta say, I was not prepared for the awesomeness that Alex would bring. I love how he went with a blood moon instead of a traditional night sky. This cover is going to be available as a virgin cover, a regular cover, and a holofoil cover. All right, so last campaign, the most popular cover was, of course, the naughty cover, which means, of course, we are going to have another one this time. Check it out. This cover features Magnus McDraken and Riley Scott, and the colors are being done by the amazing Chuck Michael Obach, who colored this, and this, and this. Now, continuing on the theme of colorists, because teamwork makes the dream work, and I want to bring you the best quality books possible, Robert Nugent has been brought onto the team to do interior colors. With Robert fully crushing it on colors, I am able to focus my efforts into cramming each page with detailed line art, which is one of my favorite things to do. If you're new to Mythica, we have all 7 of the previous issues being reprinted for this campaign with variant covers. Our goal for this campaign is 300 backers, so please check out all the cool rewards below and see which one is right for you, and then do us a favor and share this campaign with your friends. Thank you.
So what are your first impressions?
My first impressions are, I'm a returning reader, so I kind of know what's going on, but I feel like the story wasn't really told for new readers. It was more of a celebration of those who have been along for the ride. And I can respect that, because making it to an issue 8, I mean, that's a heck of an accomplishment. And, you know, you assume that your readership, you know, they know what they're going into, but you have to also assume there's some people that have no idea what this is all about. And for those people, I would have thought adding something of an introduction of just kind of telling what is this story actually all about, because it never really addresses this story tells about this, this, and this. And I think that could have been a good thing to put in there, because he has a good energy on camera. I like the way he's kind of, he's showing how excited he is, which will get readers excited, but just giving a little bit about the story, I think would have strengthened the video up.
And here we go. This is the actual full Kickstarter campaign. What we didn't get to see was that image. Would that image make you continue to, if you didn't know it, is that a strong image?
It's a very strong image. His artwork is always, I mean, it can sell itself very well.
And we're about to enter into the next phase, which is the pitch. Here's the pitch for this one. In the midst of World War I, a Scottish soldier and a sultry spy fight for their lives against vampires and demons. Does that win you over?
Oh, definitely. You throw into that kind of stuff. I love any kind of traditional monster stories, and you're kind of taking monsters and putting them into a period piece. So that's right up my alley. That's what got me in the first time.
So now we're going to go through and actually check out all the different campaigns. We'll leave Mythica up here so you guys can see who won the last one. So here we go. I got to take it off the screen. I forgot. Oh, see, Jax saw the image and instantly said, "What is that?" So there you go. You got a kid with ADHD's attention. That's a comic book that's not for you. It's for mature readers. All right. So here we go. Remember, this is going to be in different order, so don't assume that the titles match the actual, match the first title line. So as I'm fighting with Fair Roche, Jax has got a sweet tooth at the moment. Here go the pitch lines. The much anticipated Echoes of Triumph 2 is finally here. We did Mythica, so we're going to jump over that. Burden of Truth. That's all I got for you on that one. 16th century Japan. Anarchy reigns as warlords seek power. When Nakae is betrayed, his revenge takes him beyond blood and fire. Horror/adventure/classic monster comic book. Magic, action, animals, and karate, all in 24-page full color story. You're starting to see why we brought up the pitch now. Some of the pitches here don't really give you much.
Yeah.
Okay, so Alpha Dogs. Hunted his whole life for his incredible powers, Buck, a local canine, protects the humans who fear him. All right, all right, all right. Embark on a journey of tortured soul named Vaughn as he tries to fight for salvation. And here we go, another one. A man thought to be dead returns as a deadly assassin to seek answers and pursue revenge. The entire sordid tale of the white whale reappearing in modern times as a zombified monster. One shark stands alone against the mob, the military, mad scientists, and thousands of cyborg piranha. And that's what you get to choose from. What stood out, and you were like, I need to see that?
There were some ones in there. There were, I'd say, 4 or 5 that I would be definitely more intrigued to read more. But I think the first one that grabbed my attention, it was probably because it was the first one you read, and that was the samurai one.
Actually, that wasn't the first one we read, believe it or not. Right before that, we had one that was just Burden of Truth. And that just shows how much they kind of missed on that by not having it, right? Because you just completely forgot that was even there. This all matters, kids, and you're learning it the hard way. And I'll explain why it matters as soon as we're back before we go over. But here we go. This is the video. Remember to raise your hand when you experience back applause. Didn't pause. We'll read your thoughts, and we're going to bring it up on the screen.
I liked it. It was short. It told enough of the story to bring intrigue. It showed off the art. I love the black and white art that they have going in it, and yeah, I think the pace of it was it was strong and quick, and because sometimes people will talk a little bit too long, and that's where the hand starts itching. I never felt that on this one. It's like it had good movement, and it made me intrigued enough where I think if I haven't backed this already, I got to get in there and give this one a shot.
All right, now we're gonna head on over to our campaigns, and I was gonna talk about why do sometimes it matter that you put more than just a title and an explanation. That's because sometimes your first title is the only thing people see on Twitter because it gets mixed up. And I'm bribing Jax with chocolate. he's got me at his will because he knows I'm live. He's like, say no on camera, Daddy. But yes, go eat it. One of the things with that is sometimes when on Twitter, you lose that bottom line. So your top line becomes so important.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're driving it home. So you have a really clever one. How did you come across promoting and getting that? Was that something you knew right away you were going to use, or did you develop your pitches by being on the road? Because we never talk about that enough. Actually,
that one came, I remember it was actually something you put up, and throw your elevator pitches here. And I put one, and it was okay, but you said read it aloud and see how you would fix it. So it was just kind of working and thinking, all right, I need to make something that's short and to the point and has that hook. So that's where I got the kind of save humanity by killing them. And that was also like after talking to you and after working at cons, because when you work cons, you can kind of see when you've lost your potential reader. The person comes up to your table and you start your pitch. And my first pitches were long, rambly. I'm going over in issue 2, this happens. And in issue 3, this happens. They don't give a shit about what happens in issues 2 and 3. They just want to know what the story's all about. and I was going on way too long, and you could kind of see the eyes start to roll, and like, all right, they don't want to be rude, but they don't want to buy this book either. So I had to tighten things up, and I think that's what got better. And now I have my 30-second elevator pitch. I tell anyone, hey, do you have 30 seconds to hear a quick elevator pitch? I'll tell you all about my series, and then you can get back to your con. And more people will stop than not when you tell them, hey, I need 30 seconds of your time, and if it doesn't work, you out your day and have a great one. So just constantly trimming and tightening is what I did till I finally got it down to a quick 30 seconds that was, someone actually timed me at a con. They're like, no way you can tell me everything about this book in 30 seconds. I said, time me, and if I go over, you get a free copy. So I was at 29 seconds, and they're like, okay, I'm impressed. And they actually bought one because I beat the clock, basically.
And you know what? I tell people all the time, cons change how you promote. You can always tell a creator who doesn't go to Comic Cons when they're on Kickstarter because they don't know how to do that pitching. But like you said, you learn a lot from looking in a person's eyes. And one of the things that your book must sell itself at times, just with some of these amazing covers. Your covers are definitely. I was surprised you didn't put up some of your covers this year for the awards, to be honest.
I think I did put the one that came out this year, but I gotta boost it up. I gotta throw it on my page and have Caesar do it as well. So I think issue 5 is up there because that's the one that came out in the right calendar year. But I think I could do 4 as well. So I got to put those up. And sometimes the covers definitely sell themselves. But when you're selling an indie comic, especially at a con where you're just, you're in a sea of amazing indie comics, you have to have your story sell itself too, because the cover alone, you've intrigued them. Now you got to sell them on the concept. And yeah, I mean, Caesar's covers are always spectacular. I mean, every cover he's done just builds on the last one. I'm just more and more impressed. So fortunate to have a great art team that makes covers that will catch people's eyes.
Speaking of catching eyes, and we did this on purpose again, look at the image and tell me which one to go back to. So here we go. I'm going to scroll quickly. We've done Mythica, so that's disqualified. And we're not stopping so you could read anything. You just get to have that quick look. The Twitter scroll is what we're going to call this from now on. What would make you stop? And we're going to scroll back up. And when we scroll back up, that's when you'll tell me, okay, there it is. Stop now. Of course, that's yours.
Yeah.
Here we go. Tell me.
There are definitely 2 that grabbed me right away. And that would be, I think the one that grabbed me most was that one right there with like the creature from the Black Lagoon looking guy. So that one and the zombie whale were definitely the ones that caught my eye the most. So this one I would say is the winner. I love that image with.
Oh, we'll bring up Moby Dick for the second place. So, all right, This is Forbidden Museum. Let's go over all the parts before we do it. So Forbidden Museum number 2, The Lost Temple of Gilgad. I gotta be honest, I thought that was clever. I was very disappointed they didn't expand on the idea in the next thing. I really think they threw it away, almost using hashtags on Kickstarter. I think, and tell me I'm not wrong, but doesn't that image right there tell you horror, adventure, classic monster without saying it? Something, it's the old.
The second line could have sold the story more because that sells classic monsters. It's got horror. I mean, that image is just beautiful. Looking at that, like reading when you read the tagline, it didn't stick in my head, but looking at that image, that sticks in my head. That moves it to like, ooh, I might need to back this if the interior art's anything on that level.
So the bad news about this one is there was a copyright that came up, so we can't actually play the video. And I don't think it was their fault necessarily. I think they used some older snippets. And, sometimes when you mix in something, if it just catches enough, one of them complained. So we can't watch the video. I do suggest it's actually a clever video. It does use old video footage, which is what I think we got the copyright claim against.
That's what got him.
Even though it was a little bit of it, that's enough to do it. So we can't, in all good conscience, risk our YouTube access or any other access to any other platform by playing this particular video. But we will play, and we'll get back to talking about the Moby Dick. But here is the Moby Dick, and he did change the video, so even he had a bit of a copyright issue. But to his credit, he changed the video. So this is the brand new video with new music.
Okay.
More than 100 years ago, a white whale ravaged the high seas and disappeared. Today, that whale's back. What we get back from the deep is the one and only comic book sequel to Herman Melville's classic. And in it, the white whale is back in modern times, now as a zombified beast, causing chaos and devastation everywhere it goes. We just wrapped up the final issue of this series, so this Kickstarter is your chance to read the entire horrifying tale from beginning to end. Now, if that's all the information you need to make your decision, and you want to stop this video here, hey, I understand. But there is an interesting backstory to this series that I'd like to tell. We've actually been doing this thing for 4 years. It's hard to believe, but I checked back on when we posted the first page, and that's how far back it goes. This thing began as a humble webcomic, and just wanted to get the story out there. Interest kept growing. It was slow at first, but it started building, getting bigger and bigger. When it was big enough, we took a stab at printing the first issue. That worked. People liked it, so we kept going. And then we started showing up on different things. Podcasts, web shows, blogs. I even did a few interviews on newspaper and radio. Now, luckily, I never showed up on a television news studio because, let's just face it, this is not a face for television. But people seem to like this story, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, and it's bittersweet to see it close. But here's hoping that we end things on a very big note. Before I close this video, I want to make sure and mention a big part of the success, not only the people who supported us along the way, and big thanks to all of you who did that, but I want to make sure and mention Joe Bilicic's artwork. It's second to none. It's exactly what this story needed. It's fantastic. It's surreal. It's dark. It's grim. It's lovely. Thanks so much for your support. I hope you'll join in again, and enjoy the ride.
So, by the way, I checked the Forbidden Museum. They actually changed their video, so we're going to be able to watch the Forbidden Museum.
Oh, nice.
They took, I believe they took the clip out because I had mentioned it too. So we're going to be able to watch that. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about Moby Dick. We just saw that. What did you think?
It sounds, it's a book. I think last time I had meant to back it and I just missed it. So I like the idea, the premise of the book, especially coming as an English lit nerd. I mean, having read Moby Dick multiple times through college, and just kind of, I like they took something like that and turned it on its head and brought it into the zombie world. Kind of like what happened, you know, you got Pride and Prejudice and zombies, and taking all the classic literature and throwing zombies and vampires into those kind of things. I like that idea. This one, I haven't seen anything like it before. And I can understand he's excited telling us about the journey of the story. So sometimes the talking head thing will get to me and it'll lead me to pause, but he's kind of giving us the journey. So I like how he worked that. And this is one that's definitely I missed it last time, and now I want to get it. And I guess the good thing is I won't have to wait for anything else. I can get it all in one swoop. So it's always nice having a complete story right there that you can grab.
All right, now we are going to be able to see the Forbidden Museum #2. So here we go.
My name is Henry Harker, podcaster and adventurer. I finally found my great-great-grandfather's secret museum located a mile under the British Museum. I thought it held priceless antiquities, but it was a magical prison for monsters. And now they have been freed to roam the earth. Dracula, Wolf Beast, the Gill God, Frankenstein's monster, and the Mummy King. And I've been turned into the living dead, the museum's new curator. And in order to break the curse, I must travel the world and find these monsters and return them to the Forbidden Museum.
All right, and that was that video. There's a little clip, hopefully no whammy on us, but
yeah, I spotted that.
But hopefully that's a catch.
Yeah, you just gotta hope it missed. But yeah, that sounds so friggin' cool. That just screams my name right there. So that one, I love the classic monsters, the universal monsters, and I know that's kind of what he's basing them on, even though you can't directly say that. But I love anything with the universal monsters. I'm completely hooked on, and it just, the interior art that he was showing looks, as good as that image that grabbed me to begin with. So I think that's one I want to see all the monsters, and I am 100% in on this one. It looks really cool, and I mean, it sounds like a really fun series.
Ironically, the only one who's still copyrighted and you can't touch is The Creature from the Blue Lagoon, because that was deliberately made for a movie. You can't that one. The rest
is not based on a novel or anything.
Yeah. So they still have a copyright because that was made up by Hollywood. The rest, though, you can do all day. You can't do it the same way the studios did it, of course, but you can do your own version of it any day.
Yeah, you can put Dracula in your book and no one's gonna stop you.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk quickly about the coming soon. We're gonna bring that up right now. So these are the things that are coming soon to you. Demon Bitch, You All Suck. That's 322, so that'll be next week. The Expanse Continuum continues to expand. So that's going to have, and I'll announce right now, it's going to have The Redeemers Part 2, and a few other tales are returning. But for this week, you get The Redeemers Part 2. If you like The Redeemers from the Eclipse book, you're going to find out more about them in the upcoming Expanse and Trolls Exposed. Now let's get back to your campaign for a few minutes, because that's what you're here for. Mortal Era, I want to talk about where's it going, because now we're at a certain part. We've talked about this in the past when we're here. Issue, like, you're getting pretty high up on your issue count, which, by the way, congratulations. Getting to an issue 6 is super rare in either whether you consider yourself indie or a content creator. Because I think that you've kind of almost proved you've leveled up to content creator in my mind at this point. You've got a quality book, Pete. You're building that base, and you take this very seriously with the art that you do. So I think that, and it's a natural thing to kind of sort of graduate from an indie creator, and you start thinking to yourself, I'm a comic book creator now. You know what I mean? Like, I've never heard anyone from Image say, I'm an indie creator. They usually say, like, oh, I'm a comic book creator or a content creator. Because you get to that point where you almost graduate from indie because you're putting out a more quality book, where when you say indie, people almost expect a little roughness here and there, because you still
it's got a stigma to it for sure, and people kind of envision kind of raw, messy, grammatical errors. They have a certain thing that pops in their head when you talk about indie comics. So
yeah, and
it's a badge of honor for those who create it, but for those who don't know, they just automatically lump it into a different place.
Yeah, and it's earned. There are a lot of books coming out that don't even hire an editor, which is where we get those problems. Of course, I saw you have Chuck on your team, but I want to ask, did you ever get to that moment? Because there's always that moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm a comic book creator now, but I'm an indie guy, and you think of yourself as indie. Have you had that moment where you're like, no, this could go into any store at any time. I deserve to be Marvel and DC, and you no longer think of yourself necessarily as an indie creator, but you feel like you're quality product and you're ready for the next stage? Have you hit that yet?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever will, because my brain is always kind of downplaying whatever I'm doing. And I feel like, it's a higher level indie creator, because, I mean, bringing in Chuck as an editor was kind of it was a required thing, because my wife had been working as editor and she wasn't doing a poor job, but she got involved in a car accident that made her unable to continue editing. But when we brought Chuck in, he has a knowledge of books much deeper than hers. She has a knowledge of storytelling, so she still helps kind of guide the story and always make sure, like, that character would never say something like that. She keeps me honest with the characters' voices. But Chuck's deep knowledge of comics definitely made us want to bring him in. and he'll actually be joining us once issue 8 comes out. He'll be joining us as the full-time editor, and my wife will be, still working here behind the scenes, staying up till 3 and 4 in the morning with me, arguing over every single line, because we're still going to be as meticulous as that. But bringing his knowledge of comics in is something that is great for the team, and everything. I want to do anything I can to elevate the book.
And I definitely see, and it again, in issue number 6, and people are still backing you, that says something. For me, it was Cat Dad and Supermom, and it was one of the hardest Kickstarters I recently went through, because I had to go back and start from zero. You never want to restart your Kickstarter profile. If you have people already backing, and then we had to switch it from one to another. It was a nightmare scenario. And I'll say this, the quality of the book saved the book, saved the Kickstarter. When I could get people to see it, I got backers. And I'll tell you the truth, I have more backers from TikTok than I've ever had before. So going to that new audience really mattered. And it's the quality of the product. And I think you've got a quality product. I've said it beyond this show. And I definitely, this is one of those books I can honestly say I endorse. Like, sometimes people will get a book and they'll say, I don't like it. It was on your show, and I'll get it like, you shouldn't have that person back on. So I always make it clear, I don't endorse books while I'll give an opinion. But with yours, I have no problem putting my stamp of approval. Not only do you have Chuck on there, but I've read the book. It's an interesting story. I really, really like it. But I do have to bring up another conversation point. And this is an important one going on right now. I noticed that you're using Wellsprings as your printer, which I'm not going to, don't worry, I'm not talking bad about Wellsprings for anyone watching right now. What I wanted to talk to you about was supply chain issues. Are you concerned as a creator right now about paper suddenly not being there for you to print the book? How are you handling that? Have you padded the award time? With Cat Dad, I'll be honest with you, I told everyone they'll get their books in June or July. I think it's July. I'm obviously going to try to get them sooner, but you just don't know now with supply chain issues. How are you handling that?
I mean, I'm hoping things go okay. And I just actually did a pretty large reprint of issue 1, because I sold out of every issue 1 that I had, and I'm about to hit a few major cons, which is actually why I did a 40-day campaign instead of 30. It was because of the fact that I have big cons coming up, and I would really love to do a con with an active campaign.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had that luxury yet where I can actually tell people, hey, you want issue 6? It's live right now. So hopefully they buy and enjoy the first 5 issues, or more often than not, people will come to your table and they'll buy an issue 1. If it's a multiple day con, you've won them over. If they come back the next day and they're like, okay, I need the rest. But they might buy issue 1, and it might sit there for a few days. So I'm actually extending it a week beyond WonderCon to give people a chance to get home, read the book, hopefully find they like it, and discover, yes, the campaign is still up and running. So as much as I didn't want to do a 40-day campaign, because I know it's better to do shorter, statistically, they say that that's the best way to succeed. I wanted to have it to where the people who go to WonderCon can actually still support it, even if it takes them a couple days to read it.
Now, I don't know if you've actually in person met Mike Seeley, my business partner over in Continuum. I know you've met on screen. I don't know if you met
on screen. I don't think I met him in person, unless he was in Orlando, and it might have been, or in Tampa. Orlando. And in Tampa, it might have been a quick hi, how are you? Because I was pretty much a fish out of water at that one. I didn't know anyone but you.
Yeah, we had the pizza, man. I want that pizza back. Are you doing Tampa this year? Are you doing Tampa this year again?
I'm still on the fence, because I'm also signed up for C2E2 and the Rose City in Oregon. So pretty much if one of those will send me a confirmation, then I'll do it. And if not, then I'm still looking at Tampa. It's tricky because it falls right into my first day of work. And last year I had to end up missing 2 days because of an airport mishap. And I can't afford to do that again. The boss will forgive you once, but if you keep doing it over and over again, it can't look very good. So that's the only thing holding me back. If it were a week earlier, I would have been in 100%.
I'll tell you this, the Raleigh GalaxyCon is awesome too. Get that on your radar. I'll be there this year instead of Tampa. It breaks my heart. I actually really like Tampa Bay Comic Con.
Yeah, that was a great one.
And I got to last year. I had to skip Raleigh because of Jack's not being vaccinated, and I didn't want to risk his safety. So
yeah,
a lot of shows I couldn't do last year that I get to actually hopefully do this year. I don't care if I have to be in a wheelchair. I will go up and do the Raleigh show. That is how good that show is.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
because Tampa is still the highest I've ever made at a con. Now, granted, you add the travel in, and something that I can do locally and make couple $100 less is still better because I can drive back and forth. But as far as sales, I mean, the people were so receptive and open, and it was just crazy. I mean, I'm pitching, and everybody, you know, more often than not, they're at least grabbing an issue 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tampa's always a show I talk highly of. Also, for those who don't know, there are some new comic book crowdfunding platforms. Zoop being one of them. Zoop was, I believe, this is the one that was from comic book creators, including people behind that Keanu Reeves book that was out, Berserker. So that's pretty cool. And everyone watching the show today, and anyone who goes to comic book school, can you get yourself a free panel 1 and panel 2? They were part of the 8-page challenges. We've restarted the challenge, and this year it's just an anthology challenge. You can do a story from 2 pages to 8 pages and have it be part of Creator Connections, what I'm assuming will be called Panel 3, because why change a name that's working? And that's going to be going on. Subscribe to comicbookschool.com. All right, so we're down to the last about 10 minutes. You can pick about 2 more for us to examine, and that should give us just enough time to talk about your project on the way out. So here you go. When you see something you like that we haven't seen already, just say stop and we'll look at that right away. As we scroll.
Let's check out the Salvation one. I like that image.
All right, here we go. Time to play. Oh, actually, I think I opened. No, I should open the right link. Yeah, see, I know what I'm doing sometimes. All right, so this is Salvation. We have the video. I haven't watched this yet. Hopefully no whammy. I only got known that he was on it when you were talking to him the other day, and I was like, oh, that went live? We had it in coming attractions for 3 months. He never bothered telling me it was live, so thank you for actually posting. So apparently it attracted him, and he finally posted it was live. So this is Salvation, 0 through 1. Because we're later in the show, this is the point where I get to actually hit pause in the last 10 minutes of the show, just about. That had too much reading, and it wasn't clear reading, and it was hard to follow. There should have been a narration voiceover. The art did look good, but I also had a problem with the video formatting. Check your format setting, guys. What did you think?
I was thinking the same thing. The art looks good. It's a project I've already backed. I'm a fan of their work. But the text was too fast. I'm a slow reader, and it was like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with this. But the story, I like this. The story, you basically have a demon hated by humans and demons, and kind of what's going to end up happening in their world. So it sounds really fun and intriguing. I backed it as soon as I knew it was up. Same kind of thing. I didn't know it was live. I would have grabbed them on the first day had I known, but I'm excited about it, but I wish I don't know if it needs to slow down or just have, like you said, a voiceover narration, because I couldn't keep up with it. I'm a slow reader, and it's like if I were at home, I would have had to keep pausing it to read it, and then eventually I'd have been like, all right, I'm tired of pausing it. Let me just go back down and check it out. But yeah, the art looks great, like always. And I know they're doing some foil covers and things like that. They were showing kind of a preview of what they got with their sample copies from Comics Wellspring. So yeah, looks great. I'm definitely in. But yeah, voiceover for the next time, I would think, would be a way to strengthen the video.
Amazing art. I would tell them to pick a different lettering that is hard for me to read. It might just be my dyslexia, but just as a heads up, I am struggling to read any of that right now, and I can usually read pretty fast, but the art is amazing. It sounds fantastic, and I love the energy of these guys. So
Yeah,
definitely put this on your radar, guys, and at least donate $1. $1 can help make dreams come true. I said this with Cat Dad. We came down to the last day, and Ed was nice enough to share it on even the last day. And someone had told me a long time ago that $1, if everyone just backed their book for $1, he would have made his goal. And it wasn't even everyone on their list. It was literally just a small amount. And I thought about that. And it's funny because the minute my project ended, I had like 20 friends go, hey, your project ended? I thought it was going longer. Clearly, like, I didn't do my job right, making people aware it was live. On Facebook, I don't know if it was a suppression thing with Facebook or what, mind you. I definitely will be doing things differently in the future. I'll put it that way. And we've established the second issue, but this looks amazing. $1 really can make dreams come true, especially for Ed Davis and your amazing Immortal Era. We have time for one more. So we have Alpha Dogs. Charms doesn't have a video, so you don't have to worry about that. We didn't see Blood and Fire. We didn't see the Elements of the Burden. We didn't see the Echoes of Triumph, and I think there's Shark of War from Ben Lacey. And we have still the Winter Ember.
let's check out the Winter Ember. That looked pretty interesting. I mean, they all look good, and I know I'm gonna end up going back and probably backing every one of them, like you said, for at least $1, because
Yeah, I mean,
keep that algorithm awake.
And keep those creators knowing that people believe in what they're creating. Let's check out the Winter Ember. You've done nothing for me. That's backer pause. You're promoting a comic, but you're making it look like a cartoon. That's bad for me. You didn't.
Yeah, I know that's one of your things, and for me, it's showing your rewards. That takes me out, and I know for you, animation doesn't work. And I think what could have strengthened that would be some sort of context of what's going on, whether that be something, someone narrating the background or some text, because the art looks really good. Looking at that, I don't mind the animation thing. I think that, that never throws me off, but tell me more, because I'm lost about it. It looks very beautiful, and you can tell they put a lot into that video, so I can respect the time and effort it would take to do that. But as a brand new reader, because it looks like based on the images you showed, it looks like a series that's been around for a while. I want to know more about it so I can see, am I ready to dive in and get some back issues and be a part of this series?
Yeah, and again, the art is beautiful. You had such real art to go with, to flash, to do a pitch. Going back up to the top here, this actually has a decent pitch. They're actually pretty good. Winter Ember, an action adventure stealth comic book series. That's okay. I like that. Yeah. But a man thought to be dead returns as a deadly assassin to seek answers and pursue revenge. Boom. If you just read that, excuse me, my back. If you just read that over the art that they have and the look on my face, don't take serious. My back is spasming. You would have a winner. I'm telling you, a voiceover could do so much. And they're trying to make money, but again, and I can't stress this enough, especially if you don't know what you're getting into, that animation that they're showing makes me think that this is a cartoon now.
Yeah.
This does not feel like comic book. And I warn everyone about this. Don't do this. Make it look
unless they animated it themselves, that is a very expensive thing to get a video created with animation. And you're better off saving those resources to get your book out there.
Exactly. All right. We have 5 minutes or under 5 minutes now. So we're in a race to the finish. First, tell us an interesting fact, then give us the pitch and tell us how to follow you on social media.
Wow. Interesting fact. I have lots of hidden Easter eggs in this issue. So what I want to do with this particular book is reward people who watch it or who read it multiple times. So there's Easter eggs from issue 3 that don't become relevant until issue 9, and I have connections between issues 3 and 4. So I try to hide lots of Easter eggs. So if you read it again, see if you can spot any of the little things. There's a few that have come and been revealed now, but some you have to kind of play the long game and wait for those. But I try to throw in lots of fun little Easter eggs, and also different pieces of it are named after bands and songs from bands that I like. So you can see if you can spot any of the musical references I toss in there.
All right. So 30 seconds. If you don't do it, I get a free comic. Let's see. Go. 30 seconds.
All right. So once again, Immortal Era is a post-apocalyptic story that takes place 200 years in the future in a world where no one can die. But with their immortality, they don't gain special abilities or powers. They continue to age. They can still get sick. If someone loses a limb, nothing's growing back in its place. It centers on a group of 5 underground dwellers who live where the outcasts of society are forced to reside. They have to find relics from the past, relics that will explain exactly why people stopped dying in the first place so they can restore the natural life cycle and save humanity by killing them.
Damn, I don't get a free comic. All right. A true professional as always. I appreciate you being on the show. Where can they find you on the socials?
On social media, under Finish Line Comics, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I have a TikTok. I need to develop it. I know that is one of my holes in my game. I created the account and have done nothing with it. So that's one of the things I need to do. But I keep my Instagram well updated, my Facebook also, and you can add me. If you add me as a friend on Facebook, you can see what's going on in my daily stuff. And then under finishlinecomics.com, if you're impatient and you want a book right now, I have a web store available so you can go pick up your copy.
That's not a bad idea. You can get the first PDF, see if you like what you see. If you do like what you see, jump on in. I want to thank everyone for being part of it. Remember, this show has been brought to you by comicbookadvocates.com, where the love of comics comes first. Make sure to subscribe not only to our site, but we have a Twitter now. To find out what's just been told to us, go to our Twitter page, backerpaws.com, and you can find this main page by always going to backerpaws.com as well. I want to thank Ed for hanging out with me tonight. It's been a great show. I always love catching up, hanging out with him. And I can't wait to see him on the road again so I can actually grab the physical copies. So I keep getting the PDFs. Last time I turned around in Tampa, you were gone. I was like, where'd he go? He had to
Travel
go.
cons. You got planes to catch and ended up not catching that plane. So I guess I could have stuck around a little longer.
But Tampa for me is so close to home. That's one of the few shows I goof around at when I go get pizza before I go home. But yeah, I turned around and I was like, Ed, where'd you go?
Yeah, we rolled out of there quick. We were just like pack, and gone.
I appreciate coming in and remembering as we go out, I'll play our $1 theme. So this is why $1 is important. The power of a single dollar. One single dollar can help make dreams come true. Every dollar is a declaration of support and belief. It helps the creators and the teams behind the book. Just $1 helps create new worlds and keeps creators